I completed this Thursday night, and I'm just gonna get into it. What I thought of it, giving my score and everything. You've seen me doing some impressions on this already on the other channel, this channel. The Hard Candy Ramble, which went up yesterday. Well, I'm filming this Friday. This will be on a Saturday, but I talk about it more. I kind of just, I was pushing. I was in the hotel last night. I was pushing. I'm like, let me do it. And then you get into those two final boss fights, Pyramid Head and then Maria. Trying to be merrier, but overall, I loved it. Awesome. I got some gripes with it, but this is a fantastic job by Bloober Team, in my opinion. A lot of people were concerned about this game. I was cautious and concerned as well. I wasn't jumping to judgment. I was playing it regardless of the people loved it or hated it. I had to see for myself. And then the reviews started pouring in, getting great reviews overall. The users, because I got it, people were playing early. I believe they were able to get it a couple days early on Steam. Those people seem to be really liking it. I heard some criticisms as well. I was like, okay. And I have my own. But then I got a hold of it, and man, the nostalgia that hits you in the beginning as well, if you played the original back in the day, you're just like, oh, it flooded me. I almost got a little choked up because this is my favorite game. It really is. Silent Hill 2 holds that place in a lot of people's hearts, especially survival horror fans. Still, in my opinion, the best game story. Of course, everybody's going to have different opinions on that. But no matter what, it's a great game story, right? Whether you think it's the best or not. It borrows from things, too, like Jacob's Ladder and stuff. There's inspirations in there as well. But they nailed the atmosphere and that feeling of dread. Now, once again, with survival horror games, I think this in Fatal Frame is super creepy and dreadful. Other people might not think that. I do not think Resident Evil or Dead Space is dreadful or creepy, but other people might think that. They are, so everybody has their different feelings on that. But this is the game, you almost experience this. Like, it's the kind of game, and I've said this in the other videos, where you're like, I want to play it. I can't wait to keep playing more, but I'm dreading it at the same time, which is a good thing for a survival horror game. It's almost more of an experience. Like when I completed it, I was almost like, oh, okay, like almost a sense of relief in a way, right? Like you got through. Because for me, like I will play through this again at a point, but this isn't a game. I'm going to do another gameplay on the channel because I have a couple of save points. I think you get 10 save slots, and I used all of them. Because there's parts where I'm like, am I good enough? Like, do I have enough health potions or health drinks and ammo here? So I always keep a couple of saves, but I didn't end up really needing to go back to any actually at all. But I have a couple earlier saves where I want to do another gameplay from, like right outside of the apartments. But yeah, they got the atmosphere down. Graphically, it looks really good. Now, I was saying, like, this isn't top of the line. This isn't like a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Plague Tale Innocence. But man, as you continue to play the game, because it's grimy, it's filthy, the game's not meant to be like, it's beautiful in its way, but it's not like, oh, look at that awesome forest and these structures and stuff. No, it's disgusting because it's meant to be. It's unsettling in points when you're in the other world and stuff. But man, Bloober Team really got down. I know, and you see the credits, the end credits. You had a lot of people from the original one, and it worked at Konami. That helped. I assume the consultants and producers on this as well. Was it Mishiro Ito and Akira Yamaoka? He was the one who did the music. There's other guys back in this, so they had the people, like some people from the original, being like, okay, because people were nervous. People love this game. Like, they love this game. Apparently, it's selling very well, too, across Steam and PS5. People adore this game. There's a difference between Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Like, Silent Hill fans are very protective of it. I think Resident Evil fans are, too, but Silent Hill fans take it to another level. And I understand that. I was like, oh, man. I mean, if it sucked, I would have just been, like, disappointed and moved on. But it did not suck. Like I said, the story is James comes back to Silent Hill. He gets a note from his wife, Mary, who's been dead for 3 years, maybe 3 years. Maybe not, though. I'm not going to spoil. I got a request for a hard candy spoiler vid of Silent 2, and I'm going to do that early next week. I'm not going to spoil too much in this, though. But he meets other people across the way. The town's completely fog. It's just eerie, even when it's not in the other world, right? It's foggy. He meets Angela's the first person he meets, and then you meet Eddie. Laura's in there. Maria. There's other people there, too, who are there for their own. Silent Hill calls you there, right? James is there for his reasons. Angela's there for hers, Eddie as well. And they're all seeing different versions. Laura's the child, who's not seeing any monsters, although they don't use that line. And this one, where she's like, I don't see what you're talking about, monsters. Like, she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, she's not seeing what they're seeing because she doesn't have, like, sins. She hasn't committed things and done things. Justified or not. Silent Hill's going to bring you there. And James is looking for his wife now. She's in their special place. And he's got to get there and stuff. Angela's there for her. Angela is probably one of the most tragic characters in all of video games. Like, you know, and the voice acting in this, I talked about it, is fantastic. In the original, listen, at the time it had its charm, but it's not great. It's not god awful, but it's not like, it's just, this is like natural conversations. And I said this in the other video. When Angela and James are both talking in the beginning, you're used to it being like all like kind of like ugh, like stilted and weird. Now it's like, oh my god, it's natural and awkward. Like it's two people who don't know each other having a conversation. It's not like perfect voice acting, like a Last of Us or something where all the lines are coming out flawlessly. Like there's like you know, nervousness and confusion and awkwardness coming out and stuff. I thought the voice acting was excellent. Maria's, I felt in the original, the voice acting here was better as her, and she's not bad by any stretch, but I felt in the original it was a little better. Like it came off better, if that even makes sense. She was still good in this, though. Don't get me wrong. Angela was excellent. James is fantastic. Eddie was good. Eddie was very similar to the original in terms of how he, not like in terms of like accent and stuff. Mary's excellent, and Laura's really good. Some of the cutscenes in the original I find are better, especially the first one with Pyramid Head, where he's in the room with the mannequins and he's kind of implied that he's violating them, and James hides the closet. The original was better there because you just kind of walk into the room and you're like, oh my god, and you hide in the closet. In this one, you actually walk into the kitchen, then you go in, and all of a sudden Pyramid Head like appears. He just materializes with these mannequins, which I guess technically could happen, but a lot of the cutscenes in this one I feel are better than the original, but some from the original I think are better. But whatever, right? But the voice acting's excellent. The gameplay's good. Like they have a combat system in here now, with a dodge, which works. In tight spaces, it's kind of a pain in the ass because you'll dodge into a wall, and then if the enemies surround you at 2 or 3, you're gonna get your ass kicked because they will dodge you as well. And the mannequins in this, some people didn't like the mannequins. They had me jump scared throughout the whole game, up into the freaking hotel, man. Because they'll hide under things, and they run, and then they hide, and they'll freeze. And when you get the this review's gonna be all over the place. It's not gonna be in order. I apologize. You get the radio amidst the static and stuff, the white noise when enemies are close. When they're not moving, it doesn't give you any static until you see them. And you'll have the light on them, and they'll still just freeze. But then they'll come after you sometimes. You can actually, I didn't realize this because I wasn't attempting to do it. You can sneak up onto enemies. I started doing this a lot when I got out of the hospital. Like the nurses and the straight jacket demon enemies. I forget the names, but I think the big thing you come across later in the game is the Mandarin. But and the mannequin monster things. They all are from James. They're manifestations from James' mind. Because Angela, Eddie, they're not seeing the same things you are. They're seeing messed up stuff, but they're not seeing what you're seeing. Everybody's in there for their own reason. They're seeing their own thing. And it's kind of cool because Angela's, you see at the end cutscene with Angela, spoilers here if you've not played the original, the stairwell, it's all in flames, and James is like, it's hot as hell in here, and Angela's like, oh, you see it too? He doesn't see it, he feels it, but she's like, it's like this all the time. So it's implied that she's a lot of flames around her. Eddie's, in this game, you see Eddie's constantly breathing out like cold air. So you're thinking like his is like freezing in his, his Silent Hill, right? But the combat, you can sneak up on some of these enemies when they don't see you, and you could wail them once and then stomp on them and take them out quick. Because one of my gripes is and it really only happens in the Otherworld Hospital. It gets a little combat heavy for my taste, and it takes away from the exploration. Because I'm dreading it. I'm like, oh, it's Otherworld Hospital. It's really disgusting. It just, for me personally, it just unsettles me. And I'm like, I want to get out of here, but I want to explore. And then I start getting annoyed because the enemies just keep coming. I'm getting more annoyed. And that dread goes away. So that was one of my gripes at that point. And even after I got out of there, they were everywhere. But then I calmed down, took the combat at a different pace, got through it, and enjoyed it again. And then I read that the prison was going to be a pain in the ass. But it really wasn't. Because some of these mannequins now will climb up the walls and launch onto you. Which adds another unsettling aspect. The prison wasn't as creepy as some people thought it was in this game. I didn't find it as creepy as this, but I'm talking about opinions on that, right? The original version of the prison, you're walking past prison cells, you're hearing weird noises and stuff. Something's crawling around, but it never attacks you. But this game still has the unsettling sound, especially after you do stuff. All of a sudden a weird noise will happen. You'll think something's coming and it doesn't. And you get the weird, kind of like screams and moans. There's all types of disturbing noises, which adds the atmosphere. And there are points where nothing does happen. You think it's going to. So Blooper Team did that fairly well. Because I was afraid it was going to just become super combat heavy, and it didn't. But the combat's solid overall. It's an improvement over the original. You get a handgun, shotgun, and a rifle. And you get a pipe and a 2x4. You get the 2x4, then you get the pipe later on. And the combat works. You're dodging, they're dodging. They have little attack patterns, the enemies. They'll come in with shots of 3. They'll sometimes jump on you, then you gotta hit X to get them off. There's a lot of settings where you can change. Somebody told me this. I didn't even bother to look, because there's a lot of settings. Where when you're getting attacked, the red thing will come around the screen, and then when you're really getting busted up, the little medical symbol will come. I took that off, and then it's James's jacket, like the original, is completely busted up. Then he starts really struggling when you're really damaged. But you're getting health pack. Well, they're not health packs. They're the syringes. You hold down triangle. Syringe gives you the full health to use that. You hit triangle. You just tap it with health drink. And I didn't realize, because watching this YouTube of Void Burgers, she's a serious Silent Hill. Like, I'm not a Silent Hill nerd. I love the story, but I don't know all the little Easter eggs of Silent Hill. And some people love it, and they're like, "Oh, this is from that part," But I want to see her part 3, because opinions like that, because they're such nerds, I want to see it. I don't mean nerd in a bad way either. They're Silent Hill heads. But she was doing the same thing I was. She was tapping triangle, and that's health drink now. I think triangle in the original was the map, and just like subconsciously from years ago, I'm hitting it, and I'm like, why do I keep doing that? I'm wasting health drinks. Eventually, I stopped doing it. I think I actually did it once late in the game. But the combat overall solid, and you can move and shoot and stuff. So, but the combat's not. It's not Resident Evil level. I'm talking like Resident Evil remakes level combat. It's not like that. Resident Evil 7 stuff like that. But it's solid. It's still awkward enough to where you don't feel like a badass as James Sunderland, because he's not a badass. Combat's decent, except when you're in tight quarters in the indoor environments, sometimes you'll back into a wall, and then they'll get you cornered, and if there's 2 or 3 of them, they will start giving you the business. And you have the medic, they'll spit the acid at you, and some of them, there's like darker versions of each one in the other world. There's like darker versions that are a little tougher. Although, like I said, sometimes in the combat, I would give a nurse 2 shots, same nurse, not a, because there's 2 different kinds of nurses. Same one, shoot them twice in the head, wail them once they're done. Other times I shoot them twice in the head, I gotta wail them 10 times with the pipe. So it's kind of weird. There were a couple of glitches I talked about in other videos where I got stuck on the enemy or the environment. I had to reload. Thankfully, that I had to save right before, so it never was a problem. It didn't happen again. After the hospital, I never had any issues with that. Like I said, though, graphically it's grimy. The other world is unsettling. Everything's grimy. Everything looks nice. The enemies look good. Pyramid Head looks great. And it's cool. There's a couple collectibles here. One is, I guess it's called Echoes. I heard from another YouTuber, where you go to places in the original Silent Hill 2 where you would have gotten like the radio. You get in a different area here, and you get a little noise and a little static kind of thing, and that camera angle changes. That's a collectible. You get this throughout the game. There's an achievement or a trophy for all of them. I didn't get all of them. I got a decent amount. Because it's just bigger here, and you're exploring more and stuff. And there's these pictures you find throughout the game. I think there's 20-something of them. I got like 14. You flip them over, it gives you a thing. It tells you a little something about them. There's Easter eggs to other Silent Hills 2, 3. Like the one at the hotel when you first meet Maria. There's a room you go into, which I think has the hat of, what's the guy's name from 3, the detective. And James is like, I don't like it in here. And apparently if you go back there at night, the wallpaper's ripped off and it has like the cult symbol. There's also a cult thing in one of the prison cells from 1 and 3 from in the prison. You find when it makes this weird noise. It's really disturbing. I'm like, what's going to happen? I'm like, wait, maybe. I'm like, this looks familiar from another game. I'm like, this isn't Silent Hill 2 related. Cool puzzles, nothing too overly tough. Some of them changed. Just great. Like I said, the atmosphere is creepy. It's like an experience. You're like playing it, dreading it, but enjoying it at the same time. It's not like you're playing an Uncharted or something like, yeah. Or even Resident Evil. This one, you're like, oh god, yeah. Certain survival horror games get me like that. The Silent Hills do. The Fatal Frames do. Evil Within. The Evil Withins do it as well. And other ones as well will do it. Especially some of the newer stuff. These indie stuff will do it. To me as well. But man. Oh, what was another one? Oh, you know what? It's a lot longer than the original. I beat it in 18 hours. And real quickly, this is a spoiler as well. I got the in-water ending, which is the suicide ending. And then I'm like, the originally had different criteria. You didn't even know. It was stuff you just did without the game, which would affect your outcome, your ending. And I had to look at the criteria and the requirements. I must have, because I was a little disappointed, honestly. But then, you know what? There are new endings you can get in New Game Plus. And then there's the dog ending, UFO ending, Rebirth, a couple other ones as well. But there's a new one specific for this game. The 3 endings you can get without New Game Plus. It's In Water, Maria, and Leave. I thought I was going to get Leave. But apparently, I visited her in the hospital again, Maria, which didn't help. I actually protected her, which I didn't realize. I'm forgetting. I never examined Angela's knife. I did examine the handkerchief in Mary's photo a couple times, which plays into it. So I think that's what got me. So, but whatever. All the endings kind of make sense. But the story's excellent. Like, you get the revelation of what James is there for, and his revelation why Pyramid Head's there. And then, spoilers, a second Pyramid Head appears after you kill Eddie. That's a pretty good boss fight. The boss fight's the Abstract Daddy boss fight in this is excellent. That was a disturbing. That was Angela's thing, but you're seeing it a little different than she is. But that's disturbing. It still is in this one. The first Pyramid Head boss fight is not in the same place, but you can just avoid him. You don't have to shoot him. I shot him up, but you don't have to. But it's in a different area. But then you do have to shoot him up when there's 2 of them. At the end. And the end boss fight, spoilers, where Maria is like pretending to be Mary, and he's like, we gotta let this go and stuff. That's like a 3-pronged fight. Which was a good one. And then you fight the thing when Laura locks you in the room in the hospital as well. So there are some boss fights. There's a cool one where in the hallway, in the labyrinth with Pyramid Head, where you just have to move backwards and he gets close to you and there's limbs, and the limbs are scared of Pyramid Head, so they go away. So you just keep backing up and it keeps disappearing. And then you get his great knife like the original, but you walk through the limbs and they disappear. But you don't wield it. I don't think you wield it in this one. I didn't. Maybe it was still in my... No, was it still in my inventory? I don't know. Because I dropped it, then I went to the thing, so I don't think it would be. And you get a lot of little tidbits. You're finding little collectibles of other people in town that have had issues. You're finding weird stuff of other dead bodies. And then like the thing by the historical society, you like find a thing, and all of a sudden you just hear two mannequins hit the ground. You just hear them hit the ground, and you find it. You're walking back and you hit them. James's appearance changes over time. He's kind of clean, looks fresh in the beginning. He's got bags under his eyes from the end. His fingernails are grimy and stuff. He looks like he's just done. Same thing with Angela. She just, at the end cutscene, she's just exhausted. She's done, you know. There's a lot of cool little details in there. Like I said, there's a lot of Easter eggs to find, too. I didn't find all of them. He's reaching his hand in a lot of things. He reaches his hand in the toilet for stuff as well. He's like, ugh. He likes putting his hand in disgusting things. A lot of symbolism in here as well, like the original. There's a good checkpoint system. Checkpoints point. Even the last battle had a checkpoint. I didn't need it because I beat it on the first try. I played on standard difficulty. I always play on the middle one, typically. Sometimes in shooters, I'll bump it up. Puzzles aren't too tough. You know, there's a few that are, but nothing crazy. But a lot of it's same as the original. You know, it's just bigger environments. They change some things up, obviously, like I said. There was no shortage of bullets in this as well in standard difficulty. Like, there's a few times where I'm running low, but then you stock up enough. If you explore enough, you're going to find stuff. Because I was fighting the two pyramid heads with the rifle and the shotgun. Took them out pretty quick. And then I think it's the Mandarin. There's the one where you fight that in the hotel, but you don't have to fight it. I had to push the thing away and avoid it real quick and get through the thing. It doesn't come after me. I'm like wasting a ton of ammo on it. It's funny, when you get to the hotel, you go across the lake like the other one. You get to the hotel, and it's funny because the other world hotel is just the fog. It's like a normal looking hotel, it's just foggy, which is a little nice palate cleanser after all the grime you've gone through. But then the regular hotel's all burnt down and destroyed. When you come, you watch the videotape, you see how everything went down. And things happen in different areas. Like, Eddie's in a theater now, not the bowling alley, but you can go to the bowling alley, and James comments like the original. There's so many monsters, why are you eating pizza? You know? But it's very, very well done. I'm still missing things, I feel. Combat solid. That's what I was saying before I moved, right? It took me about 18 hours to beat. There's some padding. That's another one of my gripes. The labyrinth, I feel, is a little too padding. I feel like they were trying to drag out time there. I feel that was padded a bit much. That's where the padding came in. They could have probably cut. The original's maybe like 8 hours. You could probably beat it even quicker than that. This one, I guess now the second time I would go through it quicker, but I was exploring a lot of it. I feel like they probably could have cut a couple hours off of this. It didn't really drag it down either, though, honestly. None of my gripes affected me too much outside of some combat heavy areas. The padding of the game, you know, stretching out the game, and some of the glitches. And like I said, some of the cutscenes I think work better in this one. Some I felt work better in the original, but whatever. That's like a wash, you know. But man, they kept true to the spirit of the first one, the original one. It's grimy, it's dreadful, it's creepy, it's unsettling. Or like Pyramid Head looks great. Like I said, all the enemies look great and disturbing. They twitch, they do all weird shit. They make weird noises. A lot of the noises from the original game are in there when you pick up items and stuff, and some of the enemies make their same sound, which is nice. And it's just weird stuff happening throughout where you're just like, what was that? There's nothing there. Okay. That's where Silent Hill 2 was. You're just like, you're walking for a while, there's no enemies, but you think something's going to come out, but it doesn't. Especially with the new camera now, you can see more, so you can see some of the enemies hiding under the cars and stuff. which actually hurts it in a way too, right? Because you can't see the enemy, so it scares you more when you can't see it's there. But they got rid of some of this, like the one puzzle. I think it was in the prison with the horseshoe. You had to get weird things. That one's gone, but you get up to a point like an echo where you see it. And there's a theory that this is just like his purgatory loop. Like, oh, he's already done this before. It would have been awesome if you played through it a second time and all of a sudden all the puzzles are now in new areas and now these are echoes again. So it is really, that probably would have taken a lot of effort though to do. Maybe it does do that. I haven't played through it again. I loved it though. Honestly, I would give it a 9 out of 10. You might have thought I would give it a 10 out of 10. Story is still a 10. But there's a couple gripes I have, but a 9 out of 10, it's that good. It's just great. I'm so glad it turned out good. I really am. I would have been more heartbroken than pissed if it didn't. And there are critiques of the game. I think some people are giving unwarranted critiques because they hated it before it even came out. And they don't want to, they feel obligated to continue to hate it. I think there's absolutely gripes you can have with some of the technical aspects. I have a few myself. But, and I think maybe with the mannequins it was a little too much with the jump scares. It still got me, but it was kind of like, alright. It was kind of, that got a little annoying. Oh, here's one hiding in the corner. I'm going to take a couple of shots first before I start wailing on it. That got a little annoying too. But overall, 9 out of 10. Just it was there. It was. I'd love to see it more remade. I'd love to see them do, especially if it sells well. Like supposedly it is already. Konami put a thing on their website, their Instagram, there across all platforms. It did 1 million in like a week. So hey, keep it up. Remake the original. The next one would either be the original or 4. You can't remake 3 before the original one because that's a sequel to the first one. You could remake 4 because Walter Sullivan's in this one. They mention him. What he did. His grave is still in the thing. You jump into a lot of holes in this game, like the original. Search and jump. There's a lot. There's just a lot. It feels like an experience, and I admit I was a little let down by the ending in the sense that I didn't expect to get the in-water ending. And it does kind of just end, and all of a sudden you finish off Maria, and then it's just like, he's in the car now. Kind of goes, and then the letter gets read by Mary, and has the letter's kind of going underwater. But you get all these revelations and these reveals as it goes on. Like, has it actually been 3 years? Because Laura's like, that was a year ago. Like, so it works. It's still, the story's still great, and they did a great job. It almost feels a little old school too, while feeling fresh, which I appreciate. Like I said, there's a lot of settings if you want to change things up. But yeah, overall, I'm going to go 9 out of 10 on this. It's fantastic. I don't know if I put it ahead of... Probably not Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm just saying overall game experience, this is top notch. Like, this is better experience just because it is an experience almost more than a game. I feel like some of the survival horror games, and that's when they're hitting the best, is when they are an experience as much as a game. Like, you're feeling it when you get through it. You're like, oh my god, I got through it. I'm probably missing some things here too, even though I just beat it last night, but things fly to my head quick. I am going to do another gameplay by the end of this month as well, and then I will jump into something else. Pick it up though. I can't recommend it enough. Pick it up. If you've never played it, pick it up. If you played it, you're going to enjoy it. You might have some nitpicks, but you're going to enjoy it. Unless you're just going in with the mindset, like the nostalgia, and no, it can't be better than my first love. Like, give it a chance. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to have some gripes, no doubt, but what game doesn't have them, right? But, like I said, everything flows, and you will shoot. Like, if you just hit R2, you have to hold the aim to shoot. So if you just hit R2, you're not going to waste ammo. You're just going to use the pipe or whatever your melee weapon is at that point. And the controls are all decent, though. It's funny, he runs in this, but it's more like a jog, which is a little annoying. It always has been. He's just kind of like, he's not like, oh my god, I'm being chased by a pyramid head. But yeah, it hits all the notes and beats it needs to. But yeah, check it out. If you have a PS5, get it. If you have Steam and your PC or laptop can handle it, get it. Because it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Just for the experience and the story alone, it's worth it. That's why the first one, the combat sucked. A lot of the controls were tank-like and stuff in the original. But the experience and the story were so good that even the voice acting, it didn't matter. You were just like, this is nuts. It's creepy, yeah, and everything, But check this out if you haven't. Oh yeah, it's only been out for a week, but 9 out of 10 for Silent Hill 2 Remake. Awesome game. I missed some things here, but I'm going to talk more with spoilers and that hard candy request that I got. But yeah, thanks for checking this out.